Have you ever wondered if you could actually change your brain for the better? Like truly rewire it for more focus and just a better sense of well-being? Well, today we're diving into exactly how to do that. And I'll tell you, the answer is probably not what you're expecting.
Right? We live in this culture of more, more, more. Add another habit, download another app, consume more information. But this simple question, it flips that whole idea on its head. What if real mental clarity, real change, comes from subtraction, from letting things go?
So before we get to this solution, let's talk about the problem. And I have a feeling this is something we can all relate to. Think of this as the before picture of our minds. Does this sound familiar? You're constantly jumping from a notification to an email, feeling like you're being pulled in a million different directions. And then you get to the end of the day and you're just exhausted. But you don't feel like you actually accomplished anything important. That right there is your brain on overload. It's stuck in a reactive mode. Okay, but here's the good news. We can absolutely change this. And the solution isn't to just add another productivity hack on top of the pile. No, it's about the incredible power of strategic subtraction. And this gets us to the heart of it all, neural rewiring. You might know it as neuroplasticity. The key takeaway is that your brain isn't some fixed piece of hardware. It's more like a dynamic map, and the paths you walk down most often in your mind, those become superhighways. The ones you ignore, they just fade away. You are literally the architect of your own mind. I love this analogy because it makes it so clear. If you want to cultivate a beautiful garden, a mind full of focus, creativity, and calm, you can't just plant flowers. You first have to pull out the weeds, the distractions, the negative thought patterns. That act of pruning is what gives all the good stuff the room it needs to really flourish.
So how do we actually start pruning? Well, we begin inside, in that space between our ears, our inner world.
First up, that harsh inner critic. You know the one. That voice is a massive energy drain, and all it does is strengthen the neural pathways for anxiety and self-doubt. When you consciously start to remove it, to replace it with a bit of self-compassion, you free up so much mental energy. You are literally rewiring your brain for resilience.
Number 2, letting go of the need for everyone else's approval. Constantly seeking validation from others keeps your brain on high alert, always wondering, what do they think? When you decide to let that go, you start rewiring your brain to trust your own instincts, to build a confidence that's real and comes from within.
All right, this is a big one. Replaying old mistakes or regrets over and over, it's like you're running the same negative software in a loop, just making those pathways of regret stronger and stronger. The moment you actively break that cycle, you weaken those old connections and you rewire your brain to focus on right now, which is the only place you have any real power anyway.
Okay, so we've started to tidy up our inner world. Now, let's take that same exact principle and apply it to our external environment, to what we do and what's around us.
The infinite scroll. It is literally designed to get you hooked on those little, cheap dopamine hits. By deciding to remove it, or even just reduce it, you are intentionally starving those pathways of instant gratification. Now, this is tough at first, for sure, but it rewires your brain's entire reward system to start valuing deep, focused work again. There's a difference between being informed and being constantly inundated. A 24/7 flood of negative news keeps your brain's alarm system on high alert, just bathing it in stress hormones. When you curate what you consume, you rewire your brain for a much calmer, more proactive state, instead of one that's just constantly anxious and reactive. Think about it. Every single time you say yes to something that doesn't really align with your goals, you're actually saying no to something that does. Learning to set boundaries, to say no, isn't just a time management hack. It literally rewires your brain to value and protect your own attention. And your attention is your most precious resource. This last one is so simple but so powerful. Every single piece of clutter in your office, on your desktop, it's a tiny piece of data your brain has to process. It creates this low-level mental noise. So clearing your physical space literally clears your mental space. It rewires your mind for less distraction and way more clarity. So, after all this subtraction, all this pruning, what does the new landscape of our mind actually look like? What's the after picture? Well, the result is a massive shift. We go from being reactive, distracted, and anxious to being intentional, focused, and clear. It's not about becoming a totally different person.
It's about becoming a less cluttered, more authentic version of the person you already are.
And in the end, that's what it all comes down to. The power is yours. You don't have to do all 7 of these things at once. Just pick one small intentional thing to remove to begin that journey of rewiring your brain for the better, starting today. So, what's it going to be? What will you choose to let go of?